Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Crashy. Today we're going to be doing a VOD review over KNG Maken1x or Maken. If you guys don't know him, he's a free agent player representing Kungarna, and he is a West player, North America West, but he pops off constantly. So we're just going to go ahead and jump into it as he's landing here at the pressure plant, and he finds himself this like his own little section here. You can see on the map he's actually got two other players with him, and he finds an SMG and minis very quickly, which should equate to a kill pretty fast unless this guy just finds a nasty pump or something. Tac shotgun, honestly, tac. Uh-oh, 3P starting to come in, so Maken gonna space out. We'll try to pay attention as best we can. And at points in the game, I'll just slow it down so we can like analyze things. I don't want to just say what he's saying or like say what he's doing, but the 3P coming in from Caminist, so he wants to stop, he wants to slow down and put some space between them. He could have honestly stayed there, but it just becomes too much of a 50-50. So like even just that little bit to jump back was like kind of enough for him to reassess. And the fear for me, like in a situation like this, is you never know if like Caminist jumps in with like 150 health, gets the third party and gets the extra shield. So I'm gonna say right now, luckily for Maken here, or you know, I mean, it's not like he has a lot of options. He could just try to run away, but I don't really think that's the playoff spawn. Luckily for Maken here, Caminist doesn't jump into this with like full health right after getting that kill. Which could be really bad. So we're gonna see how he takes this. He has no materials. He's just gonna go in and shockwave up. And this is pretty aggressive for having like no mats and really only having SMG. But Caminist is low, and I feel like he sealed his fate here. I feel like Caminist, like, yeah, I feel like he pretty much sealed his fate here. Because Maken will most likely just beam him out of the sky. It's if I don't even know where he went because we got that deep lag, but looks like he went up or is just literally floating straight down. In either case, Maken has this whole spot to himself, so that's good. And I don't know a whole lot about pressure plant. I've VOD reviewed like Snood trios in the past, Snood's trio in the past. Oh, Caminist actually got up on the right hand side and has full shield. So I think either Maken lost him. That's gotta be what happened, right? Like because that lag, I feel like I lost him, but Caminist is like almost full health, which is, that's pretty crazy. This could make for an interesting game, only because of the fact that like we obviously know Maken's gonna do well if I pick this VOD, but at the same time I feel like there's a lot of potential for him to have lost this fight. So we'll see what happens kind of like before their fight breaks out, or if they just decide to separate. Okay, so Maken's pushing him, which is, this is crazy. This is so crazy. Like that guy could definitely beam him. He gets a little bit of shots on him. I don't think I would have spent so long taking shots with the revolver as I would with the SMG as he started to approach closer. Back SMG versus silence. No shotgun for Maken. He's just gonna get a little bit more mats, but man, does it even matter whenever someone's got ammo with that gun? He uses the back grappler, and at this point he needs to shield up because this is a tough fight to win here. Okay, the aim coming out, and I mean they're just trading shots back and forth. He's got a little bit of Caminist. Why do you do this to yourself, man? Like you're actually doing pretty decent in the 50-50, but then you just like throw your own fight. The Maken, I mean, I don't know. This is kind of like a crazy fight to me. Like it's like a psycho fight, and Caminist is just gonna leave. I don't know. This got weird. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I'm at a little bit of a loss for words on that fight, because I feel like Maken psychoed that fight a little bit, and I feel like Caminist like threw that fight a lot. So, yeah, but what we can see now is that, yeah, because like a couple, like both times that Maken's like kind of like pursued this, he just loses Caminist because Caminist is gone. But all in all, he gets this area for free, which is you know, partly the goal. You know, whether you have to take people out or just get it for free. All in all, not bad. So full shield, he's got a pretty decent loadout, no mats, and only one mini, but you know, presumably he'll find more. He's really looking for him still. That's wild, man. See this player Temple flies overhead, and Maken, again, this is his second game for context. So you have to know that he might be a little aggressive in this one, because making someone that places really high, he doesn't want to you know, take the early game slow. He's trying to W key. So we're kind of analyzing how he, you know, a good player W keys in this. Got him in the box. Maken doesn't have a lot of materials, but I mean, at this point, this player's getting third party. Man, that's like another just like unfortunate situation for Maken, because he just doesn't get the kill. But hey, look, at least he got some mats and some ammo and stuff, I suppose. So finds him a pump. That's gonna be big. So again, Maken, we'll see how he takes this fight. He's gonna go in and box in whenever he's got the disadvantage, and there's another third party, it sounds like. This will be fun to analyze, because I want to see how he takes the box fight. For me, box fighting is, I mean, it's just undeniably one of the most important parts of the game. So we see this player drops in front of him, and he's just gonna play on the wall, but I want to see how he does it, because I think everybody in the game right now can learn from box fighting. It's just one of the more intricate and like mind game parts of the game, and so we'll see how he does it. So he's most likely just going to look for a quick edit. We'll go for the trap play. That's definitely something, but he didn't catch the guy, so uses a trap. But again, all these walls are his own. Cuts out on the right and looks for a shot. That player is actually going to block it, it looks like. I mean, either that or he missed it, or he gets blocked, whatever the case may be. But again, I want to just like slow it down and look and see what Maken's looking to do to get an advantage here, because as far as he knows, because he doesn't know this player's health, they're, you know, 100 each, and they pretty much are. So I wonder at what point will Maken decide to pursue or stay in the box, because for me personally, I prefer to stay in the box. I feel like you have a much bigger advantage. It looks like Maken kind of feels that way as well. Again, though, this is his second game in a 15-game series. The earlier games, he's probably much more comfortable being, you know, very aggressive. So he may just end up pushing this. That was nuts. Okay. So now the box fight's on his hand, and this is a position that I'm personally not very comfortable with. I do not like being on the outside of a box trying to box fight someone unless I know they're low, because you know, it's just quite literally a 50-50, and usually the defender in a box fight has an advantage. Not to mention that the fact that this box is made out of metal. Box fighting metal is really, really annoying, because it's just more of an investment with your pickaxe and more of a time investment. And I feel like the player inside the defensive, you know, position has a bit more versatility and can make more decisions. But he does have control of the top of the box, so we'll see. Okay, so the player moves down, and now he's box fighting the floor, and he actually gets it. So at this point, it's just a matter of him taking control of this stuff very quickly. Okay, did he replace that wall? I think he literally landed and took that wall. So Maken is like, if anything else that we can take away from this fight is he's just doing everything very quickly. And this player, Unknown Soldier, is actually doing a pretty good job of like staying away from him and like kind of spreading himself throughout his boxes. So he's actually not doing a bad job at all. I kind of would like to see Unknown Soldier like stop running. There hits a certain point in fights where when you're running from the other player, you're just constantly giving them an advantage. So at some point, Unknown Soldier is gonna die here because he didn't stop running, and had he just actually taken the box fight, his chances might have been improved. And it's gonna most likely be right here. But again, he spaces away. Maken just gets the double placement and is gonna find the kill most likely. Now again, it's Unknown Soldier's potential to find a kill, and he doesn't. So again, like I said, I feel like Unknown Soldier just was too focused on being uncomfortable in that situation. It was like a lack of confidence. He honestly was playing it really well. He was consistently moving throughout his builds, and I mean, he was finding the edits he needed to find to get out, but he was just never put like 1 foot forward and was looking to fight until it was like too late. You saw him start to push into Maken, but at that point he had already lost like 70 shield. So Maken, it's pretty textbook box fighting on Maken's part. He like took the wall and put the ramp in at the same time, double edits, and then finds a shot. It's like, it's textbook. There's really nothing else to say about it. I think the biggest issue with that fight was the fact that Unknown Soldier was just unwilling to actually fight it, which is I mean, it's a confidence issue. There, you know, there's sometimes where you really don't want to fight. You prefer to play passive and make it to the end game. That's definitely my position in a lot of the competitive games. But if someone's fighting you, I feel like you have to like change gears and you have to be able to use that as a skill set. Okay, so out on the edge of the zone, he finds this guy on white health. This is gonna be, should be an easy kill for him. Oh, come on, get it? Yes. You know, when you see something like that, you want it to happen. Not to mention the fact that he gets a free launch pad out of this area, which is nice. He's got 2 launch pads. I actually can see the trap slot. That's usually something that gets bugged in the replay as well. So he's got 2 traps and like 8 Batman grapplers, so he's not hurting on mobility at all. And we can see he's actually like between like a few between a few players here. So we'll see how the edge playing of the zone works out, because if you're trying to have a long passive game, the sooner you can get to the middle of the zone, the better. If you're trying to have a very aggressive, like push into a lot of fights game, then you're gonna want to hang out on the edge zone. And so we see him hopping out here, and he just instantly sees this player. And sometimes it's about how much damage you can get initially. Look, he's even getting damage. Okay, so he's already got a really nice advantage in this fight, just health-wise, and he's just looking for the box fight. At this point, Project's gonna have a hard time resetting to get his health and shield back up. Maken is looking for him though. He may not have shield. Okay, so he did get a little bit of shields back up. I really want to see someone open up and try to fight him. He got a ramp shot, which was nice. And so sporadic. So Project like flipped a ramp and phased through it, and then took a shot and got a little bit of damage. But ultimately, I think Maken, I mean, obviously Maken still has the advantage here. So again, I wonder if Project will be willing to look for a fight, or if he'll keep spacing out to the point where Maken just kind of like suffocates him out. And this is like, for me, I'm just so impressed because you can see the repetitiveness, like the repetition of Maken, like, you know, like animation canceling, hitting the wall, and then looking for the edit all in one movement. Like he does it even though he's not getting the wall. And prior to the 50-50 like coin flip change, I actually never did that. And the reason being was like me being in Texas, I have higher ping, and I would never get the wall. So I was never conditioned to do that. And over time, I've had to learn this. So if this is not something that you're already doing, if you know, when you're practicing box fighting, if you're not already looking to take the edit, even if you don't get the wall, because you're just not sure if you're going to get the wall, but you have to be fast enough to know that you can get the edit off if you get it. So you just have to pretend basically in your mind that you get the edit, or that you get the wall, so that way you can get the edit. And this is what I wanted to see. I want to see what happens when somebody opens up on him, because thus far it hasn't really happened. And look, so he's looking for it, looking for the edit. The player inside the box has not replaced anything under his feet, so if Maken does get the wall, he's going to get the second build in. Maken takes a lot of damage, and he gets the kill, man. That's a position that's really, really tough, because had that player not just like given him the free shot, or like maybe had the player slowed down and allowed Maken to go defensive, he probably wouldn't have died there. It's a little hard to say. I kind of want to watch that one back, which I'm reluctant to mess with the replay mode. I really am. So hopefully this doesn't get me in trouble. Okay, so yeah, I want to see why this player gives up that shot, because he starts off this one on the inside of the box really strong, where he gets a really big hit onto Maken, but then just immediately dies right after. So okay, when Project takes the shot and drops Maken to 37 health, Maken takes the wall anyways, cuts it, and kills him. I didn't even see that happen the first time I watched it. That's actually really crazy. And it's crazy because it's like, it just speaks to how Maken does things. Like, even though he was being aggressed on, he just like, it's like his muscles, like his ability to play the game and do what he wanted to do still stayed intact. Like, he got hit really hard and he still placed the wall and took the edit all in one breath. Like, it's just so programmed in his mind to make that play that he did that even though he got hit really hard. And I mean, it happened all super fast, so like maybe, you know, he didn't even have time to process that he had gotten hit. But I just feel like for a lot of us that would be a really big panic situation. So Maken finds that kill, which is, you know, very nice considering the fact that he had 37 HP. Yeah, I don't know, that's crazy. But we're at 3 kills now, 45 players left alive, and he's pretty far from zone. Yeah, he's very far from zone without anybody really, like nobody near him at all right now. So he's got some time. Yeah, he's got some time, and we'll see what he decides to do. Again, like in a game like this, because I think it's fair to say that this is like a W key game, you have to kind of like ask yourself, what is the goal? And I think it's pretty obvious that for Maken, the goal is to just like kill everybody that he sees. And for one, to have the confidence to do that is pretty impressive. I know for me, I feel like if I'm taking those kinds of 50-50s, I just don't feel super comfortable. But for Maken, he obviously feels like he can kill pretty much anyone that he comes across, which is, it's impressive because he's right. You know, obviously I think this player is capable of killing almost any player in the world, especially, I mean, undeniably any player in these cups, but probably in the world. He just has that skill. It's obvious. You know, the gap between someone like him and Mongrel is probably not that big, if at all. So hanging out on the edge of the zone, you know, constantly playing just to make it in, playing for those fights is definitely what you want to do if you want to have an aggressive game. Now, of course, you'll only find success doing that if you win every fight, because, you know, it's not a game to say that every fight is more or less a 50-50 unless you get strong tags. And that's the thing, man. Sometimes being an aggressive player has an early payoff, because if you're rotating and a player is rotating and their only goal is making it to zone, and they're really kind of like unaware or unconscious of the players around them, then you may start the fight with, like, you know, anywhere between like 20 to 60 damage. And if you start a fight like that, then the box fight is kind of in your favor because you'll have the health advantage. So Maken's made his way to the zone, and again, look at the edge, look at the map. There's so many players right here. Like, he's either gonna slow down because there's a lot of players and find the rest of his kill in endgame, or he's gonna try to find some isolated situations to be a part of. Like this is kind of an isolated fight, but you just don't know what the player will do. And he got zoned more or less, so I think he'll probably slow down here. And if not, then he'll push this player and box fight him. Because look, again, yeah, that's exactly what he's gonna do. That's crazy. Looks for the edit as soon as he starts to take the wall. And here's the thing: you don't want to fight out in the open. No. Maken loses his wall, but he finds a good shot, so that's not bad. Player's gonna try to get away from him. I think this is just a lack of confidence. Oh, well, he hit the player really, really hard too. Come on, don't freeze me now. This player doesn't have a problem getting away. I mean, he likes to go up whenever he's being box fought, which is not bad. See, like in a position like this, man, I just feel like Maken's gonna get beamed in the back. And the player's building in metal, so like I said, it makes the box fight a little bit annoying, but I don't know. He didn't even take the wall. The player just like, that player just seemed like he didn't like know what to do. So at this point, like, my key takeaway, I always try to find a key takeaway whenever I'm doing a VOD review, and my key takeaway is for Maken so far, and I'll kind of update this at the end of the video to say like what my for sure key takeaways are. But for sure my key takeaways are for now, or my key takeaways for now are like confidence, like precision of decision making, and I don't know how else to say that. He's just very precise with what he wants to do, and he like executes on that, and that's mainly to say whenever he's looking to take a wall, he just has that precision down to do the same repetition and to know that it's going to pay off at some point. Obviously his accuracy is good, because otherwise if he's not landing shots, it's not going to pay off as well, but I don't really think you need to speak much on that note. But yeah, confidence, being aggressive on the edge of the zone if his goal is to WP. Playing your playstyle based on your goal is really important. And now he's hanging out. Like I said, I figured he would slow down at some point. 38 other players left alive, and you know, it's starting to get a little bit tighter to where even if there are some players out here on the edge, it's just really risky to push a fight. Oh, he might be able to, wow, find some white tags. At this point, how much ammo does he have? He has 300 ammo, so 350 plus medium rounds, so he can spam a little bit, maybe get the lobby to focus. Definitely something that's worth doing. And there's someone hanging out on the edge to like his east that has very, very low health, so I could see that ending up being a kill for him, which would be like kind of lucky because it's not like he knows that or anything, but I could see it turning in, you know, converting into a nice kill. But Maken's hanging out. He's got insane loot. I mean, his loadout it's perfect. All right, so he gets a new zone. What does he do? Does he hang out? Does he go forward? What is the goal? What is the goal for Maken? All right, starts moving himself forward. Okay, so he can find himself in here, but how high does he want to go? Getting close to Vide, a really strong player. Wants to connect to the mountain. He's gonna find himself a little comfy spot. All right, so now it's gonna be a little bit more traditional gameplay, like traditional competitive gameplay, where he, like I said, he just doesn't really have the versatility to go out and find everybody. And again, this is exactly what I was talking about. This player who's on white health, he doesn't have a lot of options. He's got to rotate. He's further back than Maken is, and he might be able to turn that into a free kill. So we'll see. Like I said, this is where, you know, kind of what you'd expect is going to start happening. He's going to really play his life and looks for some shots on that guy. Doesn't get it. So not a lot to say here. This is pretty common play. One thing I'll note is that I don't know, when you're playing solos and you're in a box, try not to feel like you have to do too much. And I feel like we're kind of seeing that a little bit from Maken. Like, he's not over opening every wall. He's not looking around in all directions. Like, he has a really clear goal. He knows he's safe, so he doesn't have to look everywhere. And, you know, he knows he wants to watch this player if the player's still there, which I guess he's not. I don't even know. I didn't see if the guy died or not, but I don't see his nameplate, so you gotta assume. Now Maken's gonna start looking around because he's got no clear objective, and with the zone closing, he might as well get a little bit of intel. So that's most likely what he's doing. Wants to get a good read on what's around him. You can see he's sitting behind the ramp, and ramp peeking like a rebuilding metal wall is probably pretty smart. Again, Vide's close to him. I feel like I know the name Prodigy, but I just might be because the word is so common. New zone is about to pop. What do we get? All right, so it's pretty far. Half and half is on the other side of polar. It's actually partly on polar and like partly not, like going toward greasy. And you know, Maken's pretty far, not the furthest away, but not super close either. So how do we rotate this, Maken? All right, we protect ourselves. We go up, get tagged a little bit because, you know, mobility. Get 3-peat a little bit here. Do you fight this player because it's isolated, or do you get away because you're close to placement? That's the question. For me, I mean, okay, the other player made the decision, but I'm gonna say most likely you would see, you know, a scenario where that's, you know, you don't even fight that. Okay, he yoinks this player's position. That's crazy. All right. Maken finds himself inside, and he's a mini, uses one of his 2 launch pads. So I mean, look, you know, not a bad decision to you know, you don't want to over hold on to your mobility. You don't want to be you know, too conservative with your movement. Gets people killed. It gets me killed a lot. Oh my god, there's nothing more to say. There's nothing more to say. He was ready for the opportunity to hit this player, and the player gave it to him, and he has the best gun in the game. So even if he doesn't get this kill, it's almost like you can just count it as a kill. He does. Okay, so there's really not a whole lot to say. It's just he was ready for that and he finds it. At this point, it's all end game decision making, looking for the best kills possible, rotating with the zone. So he's on, so the zone's gonna go back up, and a lot of people are probably gonna die here. And he might even get a kill here just because he's got hide over this guy with attack SMG that's moving around. He doesn't, but he definitely helps. I kind of expect to see grapples or launchpad here. That RPG above his head, he's gotta be careful with this wall open. You never know if an RPG might slip in. And people are actually dying on the low ground pre-zone movement anyways, so that's something. But it's gonna be all focusing his life here. I expect a launch. I expect like he's looking to hold and then he wants to launch, which almost turns some of these kills in. Oh, free launch maybe? No free launch. He's gonna grapple. Ooh, this is a rough grapple. That's a tough grapple. That's why he's gonna land. He'd be way too high to fly it. Yeah. So he landed because he'd be way too high without the ability to come down. And he used the bouncers. Okay, good utilization of bouncers. I feel like bouncers can easily get kind of like underused in situations like this. He has a lot of them, so it is definitely mobility. Look at that, closes the wall, instantly bouncers. So okay, what I want to say about this right now is like he has the grappler, yes. He had his launch pad, yes. So he was not afraid to use his launch pads early, which is probably the play, considering the fact that if you're not using your launch pads, you're going to use them too late or you're never going to use them. And if you use them too late, you're going to get beamed. So you either have to short pad at some point in the game or use them in a position that you can actually get some good value. And he did that twice now. So he got good value out of both of his launch pads. And while he tried to use the grappler, it put him way too high to float like horizontally. He would have died for sure. Like, and he knew that, so he touched down and just like slows down. He was able to reshield himself from like 30 something shields back up to 50, and then again, I didn't even realize it because I just hadn't looked. He had like 7 bouncers, so there's no reason not to use some horizontal mobility with bouncers. It may not be something that we're all comfortable with yet because they've just been re-added to the game and we're not used to, you know, quickly spinning around and throwing a trap on a wall to use mobility, but it's definitely something that we need to take away from this gameplay. With 5 bouncers left and 4 grapplers, you have to know that he's still got some ability to move horizontally and a little bit vertically. So we'll see how he continues that. He may be in here. I think he might be. Hard to say. Finds the player in wood. That's big. If a player's building in wood and you have attack SMG, when they reset a wall, it's time to spray. I mean, even if it's not wood. He's got a little bit of return fire now. He's using his brick. So the mats for Maken aren't great, but he's not really much in a position. God, the zone is going back up. So he's not much in a position to oof, another high glide. He can keep this one going though because he didn't like meet eyes with that player. And then he'll just box him. Use the campfire, might as well for a bit. Oh, I'm not gonna be able to find it. But look at the repetition again, like the precision of decision making. What are we at? We're at 5 kills. Where do the rest of your kills come from, Maken? It's gonna be a nice endgame. Look at this, dude. Do not be afraid to use your attack SMG, friends. All right. Do not be afraid to lean on it heavily. We're learning anything. We're learning that. Finds another one. He's keeping it real tight, playing off the zone. He really doesn't have to worry about mobility because, you know, he's killing everybody and he's finding free items. So 7 kills, Maken hanging out on the low ground. The zone's been rough for some of these players, undeniably, but he's chilling. He wants to look ahead of this player. The player keeps moving. If the player had gone up there, that probably would have turned into a kill. He comes off the bouncer, and wow, there's a lot going on right here. So he got ahead of it. Great move, obviously. He can peel back and look, and we'll see what he can find, if anything. I mean, he may just be able to hold. That's what he wants, but Not really lining up for him. Oh man, we don't even get to see that. But presumably a player just comes up into his pathing. I don't know if somebody's actually taking the L. I'm assuming they are. But 3 players left alive. Maken's just chopping through some stuff, and he actually doesn't even have that many mats. But he's got some bouncers. I wonder if that's. I wonder if we see a height take like with bouncers. I really do. I could see the potential for him to do it. Yep. At very least a chop, and then he can go for it again. Okay. Yeah. That's. I mean, honestly, I wanted to see it. Player's low. He's gonna most likely clean this up. Yeah, he definitely gets both these kills. Drops on him, kills him. He knows he's low. Rocket on a high ground with a decent number of mats. The shockwave up. He's gonna get a lot of shots here. Okay, so Maken on the low ground. Player's contesting him. I mean, he doesn't really have a choice. Maken's got the health anyways, so. Bouncer, don't do this to me. Okay, so he bouncers. Okay. All right. I wish we could have seen a couple of those last kills a little bit cleaner with the replay mode, but we didn't get to see him that well. So Maken, man, drops 10 kills. He consistently had an insane loadout. In the end game, he was comfortable dropping the AR for the rocket, which is perfectly fine. And now to just like note my key takeaways, because that's for sure what we're here to do. It's like the confidence. And not only just in the ability to kill players, but the ability to get walls and to make the edit that he wants to make. Despite what's really happening to him, he's just like, he's very conditioned. So, you know, if you have to take something away from this, it's like, I want to practice my box fighting despite my situation. You know, now if I'm low health, I'm not going to start box fighting someone. But like, despite the fact that they might hit me, I want to see if I can persist through that like shock to continue to take the wall and do the edits that I want to make and land the shot that I want to land. Because the difference between someone like me or someone like you and someone like Maken is the fact that like it's almost just so programmed for him to make the edits and to take the shots that he wants to take that it really doesn't even matter if he gets hit, because he knows like it's just that like it's like that what's the word I'm looking for, it's like dumb confidence. Like he's convinced in his mind that he's better than these players, and it doesn't really matter if he dies, because for one, he thinks it's impossible for him to die. He truly does. It shows in his gameplay. He truly does feel like he will not die to any of these players. And when he pushes them, when he fights them, that confidence reflects in his gameplay, and it reflects in the fact that he can kill. He gets kills on them. Which speaks to the fact that his loadout just becomes insane as the game goes on. Again, this is his second game in the 15 game series, so he's much more loose, most likely. I would expect that he would slow it down a little bit later on in the series, but to be able to find you know, like 3, 4, 5 early kills before even getting to this section of the game where he can pop off later on, which I would say these kills in the end game are a little bit like easier to get. I mean, you have to focus on movement and playing your life, but the kills almost like come to you in a sense. And then the next takeaway is just the fact that he uses his mobility. Don't be afraid to use your mobility. It's one of the biggest mistakes I see from you know, like non-top tier players. He used both of his launch pads early. You don't have to save your launch pads. And then he had what, 7 bounce pads, maybe even more, because I stopped looking at the counter, and he uses them up to 1 left in his inventory. He's not afraid to use his ability or his movement resources. So don't be afraid to use your movement. Use what you have and make sure that it counts. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. He put the Batman grappler to use without overusing it and getting himself killed. That would probably be a mistake that someone you know, a little lesser skilled would make. And he leaned on the TAC SMG. There's nothing more to say about that. If you have a TAC SMG in your inventory and you have the ammo to do it, don't be afraid to use it. And just to feel out the other players. If another player gets lazy or is like their awareness is a little bit lower in some situations where they reset a wall and they're not prepared, then you could almost fully find kills. And we saw Maken do that. He fully found kills just by spraying at someone's build. So don't be afraid to do that. So thanks for checking out the video. I definitely appreciate it. Leave me a comment in the comment section down below. What do you think about Maken? Because he's had a pretty explosive rise from, you know, my position, seeing him play in the Kungarna tryouts. I hadn't really heard of him. He was popping off all the time. Then he joins KNG, and now he's like winning or placing in the top of North America West like every single week. So pretty impressive. So again, thanks for checking out the video. Do not leave without leaving a like, and I'll see you on the next video.
Do you feel your bones start shaking?